US President Donald Trump has stated that he favors a permanent peace agreement to resolve the Russia-Ukraine war rather than a temporary ceasefire. Speaking at a joint press conference in Anchorage, Alaska, Trump described his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin as extremely productive, noting that many points were agreed to, while only a few issues remain unresolved. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there, he said. He added a cautionary note: "There's no deal until there's a deal."
Mr. President, that was very profound, and I will say that I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many points that we agreed on, most of them I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal.
President Trump told reporters the discussions marked great progress and highlighted his long-standing positive relationship with Putin. Writing on Truth Social after leaving Alaska without a finalized agreement, he emphasized that ceasefires often do not hold up. While he acknowledged significant progress, he confirmed no deal had been reached.
We made some great progress today. I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll of course call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration calls and tell them what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there.
During his flight back to Washington, Trump held a phone call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who later announced plans to visit the US Capitol on Monday. Trump also spoke with NATO leaders and reiterated on social media that all parties agreed the war's end should come through a direct peace agreement, not a temporary halt in fighting. Trump confirmed that if Monday's talks with Zelensky go well, he will arrange another meeting with Putin. He described the day in Alaska as great and very successful, saying both the summit with Putin and the follow-up calls with Zelensky, European leaders, and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte had gone very well. According to President Trump, all leaders agreed that the best way to end the horrific war is a lasting peace deal, rather than a fragile ceasefire. Zelensky echoed this view, insisting that real peace must be achieved, and warning against settling for just another pause between Russian invasions. He stressed that Ukraine must be directly involved in all discussions and that no decisions, especially regarding territory, should be made without its participation. Zelensky also said sanctions on Russia should be strengthened if Moscow tries to avoid an honest resolution to the war, and noted positive signals from the American side about guarantees for Ukraine's security. Putin's arrival in Alaska was marked by choreographed ceremony, stepping off his plane onto a red carpet at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson. The Russian leader was warmly greeted by Trump. The two posed for photos, under the roar of a B-2 bomber before riding together in Trump's armored limousine, the Beast. Despite earlier Kremlin suggestions that the meeting might last 6 or 7 hours, the talks wrapped up in under 3, producing only a brief joint statement. Putin reiterated his stance that Ukraine must withdraw from 4 partially occupied regions, Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia, and abandon its bid to join NATO. Zelensky has firmly rejected this, saying ceding territory would only invite further aggression, as happened when Russia seized Crimea in 2014, before launching its full-scale invasion in 2022. On the return flight to Washington, Trump and Zelensky continued their conversation before other NATO leaders, including UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer, joined the call. Monday's White House meeting will mark Zelensky's first visit since a tense exchange in February with Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. That's all for now from Global Pulse Unplugged. Stay sharp, stay informed, and we'll see you next time.